You can scream and you can yell. You can even jump up and down. In this day and age, getting someone's attention can be quite the challenge. But in the course of your efforts, it's very important to remember and to have on your side a little notoriety, as well as plenty of mystery surrounding you. So much so that in the end, you find yourself with national exposure. And that is indeed the case for our very own Mariners Museum, as they were recently in the spotlight thanks to a little visit from the Travel Channel, as they came to town to produce a new program that looks to reveal mysteries at the museum.
We're here today because we're doing this survey for the Travel Channel for a new series called Mysteries at the Museum. We've been traveling all around the country finding the best museums that we can and some of the most interesting artifacts that tell really unique stories about American history, natural history, a hodgepodge really, but really what it is, it revolves around these museums, and the Mariners Museum happens to have an artifact that interested us, so we decided to come. Take a look at those notches again, just kind of, it's repetitive, but same thing, you're just kind of figuring out what this thing was used for. The artifact itself is a random, kind of innocuous looking supply box. What's interesting is that it was on a ship in the early 1900s, a U.S. Navy ship, Collier class, coal hauler, that is, to this date, it's the largest mystery in United States naval history. The ship completely disappeared. This is one of the few remaining artifacts that we have. And so basically what that does is it provides us with a contact point. We can take the tangibility of it and then have that tell the story for us. And Mark Newcup, who was our curator who walked us through, was the guy who did that for us. He was the knowledgeable one. He knew the story of the artifact. He knew the story of the Cyclops. He's connected with the museum, so he was really our main contact point in leading us through the story.
USS Cyclops was a Navy collier, a very large one of the largest built at the time, and it was designed to refuel battleships when they were deployed overseas. And the Cyclops' real claim to fame, though, is that it disappeared coming back from South America carrying a load of manganese ore. And because the vessel disappeared with all hands, there's just not a lot of artifacts that remain from this particular ship. Its loss remains the largest loss of life to a U.S. Navy vessel, not at wartime, that they've never been able to solve. The box wasn't recovered at sea or anything like that. Cyclops spent a good portion of its career home ported out of Norfolk, so it's not surprising that souvenirs may have been taken off the ship and left around Norfolk. In this particular case, that's what happened. An individual bought a house in the 1920s in Norfolk and found this box in his basement underneath his house. He saved it, apparently used it for a little while, but in 1941, realizing the significance of it, that the ship was a notorious ship, offered it to the museum, and we accepted it, and it's been in the museum ever since.
And to this day, the disappearance of the USS Cyclops is unsolved.
This is pretty neat. Travel Channel has some really, really nice productions, and of course their opinion goes a long way to driving tourism. So we were really happy to have them out. We were really happy to participate in the entire shoot.
It's extremely important for exposure for the city of Newport News when the film companies come in, or travel channels, or National Geographic. It's like one huge, big commercial for the city of Newport News. It's huge, huge, huge exposure that Newport News couldn't do. We could not ever afford to buy the exposure that they're going to give for us in our city.
It's a luxury when you get to work in a show that you believe in. Not everyone has that luxury. The show that I'm working on right now, Mysteries at the Museum for the Travel Channel, just happens to be one of those shows. It's a great mission. We take artifacts, we try to recreate that feeling of coming to a museum and stumbling upon an object. You have no clue what it is, you read about it, and all of a sudden this thing has history behind it. It has this whole past that you didn't know existed, and now that object has meaning. At the same time, we're promoting museums, we're getting people out there to want to come to these museums, which is part of our mission.